Oh, I also need to unmute this. Yes, everything has to be capitalized if it's just a single
Everything.
letter. Because that's just outline etiquette.
Yay.
But this
Etiquette.
is week 4 of the animation class. This week we're going to be talking about. Well, hold on, let me turn off my fan because that's probably going to get annoying really fast. But we're going to be learning about the doorbell assignment, which deals with successive breaking of joints. This is going to cover a lot of the topics we did in the second week with the pendulum, but instead of it being just a string that can wobble and bend at basically any point, we're going to be applying it to arms and legs and bodies and things that have actual bones in between the joints. This is how we can still have like wiggly arms despite having actual bones instead of going old fashioned with the whole rubber hose arms. And so, to start off with, let's look at some examples. The examples I have are the one that I did, as well as the one that my friend Nick did. Joe knows Nick.
Yep.
If mine will open, I'm just gonna press enter. Let's see if that works. It probably just decided to take its time. Wait, no, it's already open. My bad. I'm just gonna close and reopen
Two
it
steps ahead of
because,
yourself.
yeah, except that when I leave things open for too long, for some reason they just decide not to play.
Oops.
So I'm gonna play this a couple times through.
So one step behind.
Yeah. But this is my friend Nick's assignment. And this one's fun and it's engaging, and I accidentally unlooped it. It should play a couple times too. And you guys can't hear the audio probably. I can, and you will in the actual YouTube video. But for this, he's able to raise his arm up and down to hit the doorbell. And this deals with the whole classic setting of just the door and the person. And in the assignment, you're going to have to show a character with motivation as to why they're pressing this doorbell by either having character acting, a prop, a gag at the end. But this is to help you kind of flesh out an actual scene instead of it just being a character just acting on their own. They have to engage themselves in their environment. And for people who don't like to draw hard surface objects like me, because I don't like drawing houses or doors or things that have actual dimension that people can call me out on for not being the right size or shape. Uh, this one's mine. It's in a alien cavern. This is Matt. She's a intergalactic pest exterminator. And so, for the one I did, I decided to go the whole longer character acting route more than the gag at the end. But for both of these, they have the same basic movement of the arm comes up and the arm goes down using successive breaking of joints. And I know what you're asking yourself. What's successive breaking of joints? That's what we're going to be covering, and I'm going to make sure I can see the chat just in case there's any questions. And remember, ask questions whenever. I will stop and answer them. But let's go to some reference pictures, which are on this tab. So, this shows a nice comparison. Actually, I think I should have it over here. Yes, I do. Hot diggity dog, I thought ahead. But this shows the comparison between rubber hose arms, which are the old back in the day kind of arms, to the new more realistic we have bones in our arms way of going about things. I will send both examples that I showed you plus like about 6 more that I found that are really nice. And because if you just look them up on your own, I found that there's a lot of ones that are not good and a lot of ones that are good. So I picked out the ones that were good, and I'll post them in the Google Classroom along with the recording and the assignment sheet.
Alicia, speaking of recording, I think yours froze up.
Did it?
On my screen, yes, it did.
Is it
I don't know
frozen
about
on other
anybody else.
people's?
I don't know.
Oh, I was just asking them.
Okay.
Refresh the page.
All right.
That's probably gonna be
Just-
you. If anything
Yeah,
freezes
gosh
up.
darn computer.
Okay.
Okay,
Need
sorry
to
about
get
that.
a thicker brush. I want the
There we go. It's
big
better.
list of brushes. And I'll use this one. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
I've never seen this.
yeah, I found this when I was looking for nice examples. I want to know what book it's from because it looks really nice. And it's like
really
there's
nice.
a nice elephant on the other side and like
So
a tiger
exaggerated.
over here, and you can see it very slightly. But for this page, it's showing how, like the pendulum, arms and limbs still use the CS curves, and so it goes from the C to the S to the C to the S to the C, and so does this arm. It's just more angular. But by using this movement, things can become fluid and very expressionful and expressive. That's the word. I was like, because it's like expressionless is not the word I wanted, and expressiveful wasn't. Expressive. Things can become very expressive. And so, by using this method with not just arms and legs, but with the body itself, where it's like if someone's standing up, it will be like the person's bent over, then they go and kind of like the legs start moving, but the body drags behind, and then when the legs meet their destination, the body is still going up, and then when the legs and body still are or when the body and legs reach their position, the head still drags behind, and then the person standing up, don't know why they're standing up in this kind of angle, but just in case they are, where it kind of has just this kind of motion to it. And then, so when everything gets put together, everything's flowing and nice looking. So for other examples, you can have it really broadly for like the whole arm. This is from the Animator Survival Guide. I'm still searching through all my files to see if I have that on a PDF somewhere. And if I do find it, I'll post it. But for now, I'll just use pages that I find that are relevant to what we're learning. But for this, it shows how when you raise your arm, it's not just the arm going straight out. It's like the upper arm moves and the lower arm moves, and then the hand starts to move. And there's two ways to basically go about this. I have one layer. Let's see, is it this one? No. Here it is. There's my little doodle of him. And go to the first frame. You can either do it this way is a lot harder for a lot of people, where they kind of just draw the arm in each position, where they do the upper arm, lower arm, and hand all together. And you can either do it where you have, like in the Richard Williams book, this one, where you draw the middle pose and then you fill in the other ones. Or you can straight ahead it. Straight aheading usually leads to things warping in size. So if you go over a couple frames, and then this would be the middle frame. His arm is shaped like an arm, I swear. And then it's all the way up. And then you just kind of fill it in. But the way that I usually go about doing it is I just do the upper arm and I animate that completely and get the timing I want on it. and then I can just easily straight ahead the lower arm, and then once that's done and that looks nice, I do the hand. That way I don't need to worry about the timing of the entire arm. I just need to worry about the timing of the individual section of arm that I'm dealing with. Because, like the pendulum, it's usually easier to figure out what things are once you have like the ball move across the screen. And once that's done, then you draw this reacting to it. That's how I feel with things like arms and legs. Once I get the torso done, it's always good to just have a quick rough breakdown, like it's going to end up here, it's going to be here, in the middle it's going to be like this. But then I just go through and just figure out what the timing's going to be for each section as it goes up. And then when that's done, then you just kind of do the timing for the next section, and then you just kind of do the hand for it. And then everything starts to reach the top. And it's always better to have a little bit of recoil rather than just sticking to like the top position. And the one I did for Class A, this one. Oh yeah, this is the classic kind of looking character that we had for the assignment. Oh, Etoile is here. Welcome.
Welcome
and
indeed.
I remembered how to say it, I hope. Yeah, welcome back. I'm gonna get a quick sip of water right quick with my jug of water I got next to me.
Wow.
That sucks. But as for the lesson, we'll continue with that. This is the basic kind of character we had, is like the set character for the assignment. We could do whatever character we wanted. That's why I did Matt instead of like the Ichabod Crane sort of character. He looked a lot more like Ichabod Crane than the one that I doodled here. But he was always like in this bent over position, so a lot of the examples are gonna have that same character to it. And I don't know why I'm trying to do Control Delete. I don't know what that was supposed to accomplish. But for the one that I did in the first class, I had it just hit the very, just like perfectly straight up position, and it looked a little weird. So I went back in and I added like this little extra bit of flair to it before it would go back down. But the basic movement for the assignment that you're going to have to do is the arm's going to go up, the arm's going to go down and hit the doorbell, and it's going to have a recoil. So, just kind of like that. Don't know why I forgot to turn that there. Or make it stop at the right time. That would be helpful too. Make that last a couple seconds more. And stop. There we go. Yeah. Looks like he's summoning the line. But this is the basic movement that you'll have to do, and it's always easier to plan out the timing with either sound effects or just doing it piece by piece, where it's the upper arm, lower arm, then the hand. Also, you can add extra flourishes. There's one of the examples that I'll be sending where the arm doesn't just go straight up, hit the doorbell, and recoil before it goes down to hit the doorbell, but before it does, it brings its arm back, and it does like a little arm, or not arm, finger flare, where like the fingers curl up and the fingers curl down, and then it goes and hits the doorbell and does the recoil. And you can have it walk up to the door, but because we haven't covered how walk cycles work, if you're not quite sure how those would work, I would have the character just standing at the door already. You can choose whatever kind of character you want. It has to be full body. So he would have to have like little stubby legs attached to him. Like I'm gonna give him like a tie. He's a businessman. Yeah. And you also have to have the set itself. So you're gonna have to have him like, where does he hit the door bell? Right here. So the door would be like, that's a thick line. Make sure that the arm that he hits the doorbell at is on the same side as the arm he is using, because from a bird's eye view, if he were to have the door, let's say, on the opposite side of this, he's going to be, from a bird's eye view, if right here is the door, and this is the doorknob on like this side, well, it'll be on the side of the doorbell, and here's the doorbell, he's gonna be standing like this, hitting it. And why he's standing off to the side of the door when he hits the doorbell instead of being in front of the door and using his other arm to hit the doorbell. Don't know why. Oh yeah, he does have a freakishly long arm. But why he would be standing not in front of the door when he hits the doorbell is a little strange. So normally they hit the doorbell on the side that the hand also mirrors, so they're standing in front of the door. And another big thing to cover is weight distribution in characters, because so many times, mainly because the default character starts in like this sort of pose where he's bent over. If I make a new layer. So when a character goes from standing up straight, don't know why I did a very Pink Panther kind of character, but okay. When a character goes from standing up to bending over, it does not look like this, because he would fall forward. Because if you keep your legs perfectly straight and you bend over, there's only so far you can go until you start leaning in that direction. When a character bends forward, it reset the, here we go. When a character moves forward, his legs need to, well, mostly his butt needs to start moving backwards to help distribute the weight still evenly over the legs. So make sure that when you have a character move, the center of balance stays over the feet, because when it's not over the feet, that means they're going to be moving in that direction. And when a character is moving, make sure you don't have it perfectly balanced, because that's way too much effort for the character to be exerting. So if a character is walking, they're usually leaning forward slightly. If they're running, they're leaning a lot more forward. Unless they're doing like that weird jogging thing where it's just like perfectly straight up and down. Like, I've seen some people jog like that and it looks real weird. But most of the time, people who aren't centered are moving, and people who are centered are people who are off center move. People who are centered aren't moving. So movement and still. Okie dokie, we'll see you next time. So, for the assignment as a whole, you just have to have a character standing in front of a door, their arm goes up, hits the doorbell, and recoil. Make sure they're at either 3/4 or a side view. There's one girl who I dislike more than pretty much any other girl at SCAD as a whole. Joe probably knows who I'm talking about. And most of the time when people talk about people and videos and whatnot, they don't want to say the name. Her name was Isabella. And so she never listened to like any teacher except for like one. And so I would go into the principal's etude classes to help out people who were in that class, and the teacher would be like, if you have questions, ask her. And I'd be like, hey, everybody. And so I would take notes because things change from semester to semester or quarter to quarter. And I wanted to make sure to write down notes so I would have like the little differences. So for this assignment, he said so many times to make sure it was like either 3/4 or like a perfect side view when you're doing this. But for hers, it was just a back view of a little girl, and her arm did not use successive breaking of joints. It was just like, here's the door, and here's just like a little girl in a dress with like Mary Jane shoes on, and her arm just kind of goes up and hits the doorbell. I guess the door is more like this. But for one, she was too small and too young to even reach a doorbell. Why there was a doorbell where she could... Wait, no, she didn't even hit a doorbell. She knocked on the door. Oh my god. And then the door opens and she gets startled and she falls over. And she would always ask me for critique, and I would tell her critique, and she would never listen to it. So I would say, has to be 3/4 or a side view. That's what Weber said. And she was like, he never said that. And so I'm just like, okay. Critique, the first thing he said was, this isn't a 3/4 view or a side view. And she's like, oh, I didn't know we had to do that. And I'm just sitting in the back of the room, just kind of smiling to myself, being like, ha, I told you. But I didn't say it out loud because I'm a nice person.
No, you did.
Anyways, yeah, I did. I didn't say it to her face because I'm a nice person. If she ever watches this, serves you right.
Okay.
She was mean and homophobic and just mean. But anyways, 3/4 or side view, those are great. And make sure the arm's on the same side as the doorbell. Make sure you have the up-down recoil motion. Make sure you have like a scene that tells a story where it's like, if he has flowers, you can assume he's going on a date. Or if he gets abducted by aliens, that works too. Just so we have something more than just like up, down, recoil. Done. You can have whatever character you want. You can have whatever props you want. You can have whatever scene you want as long as there's a doorbell. Or maybe it could be a button for an escalator. It could be, like for mine, I just had a button on the front of the door that's just like in an alien cavern. It could be anything as long as they're pushing a button on a wall. But yeah, this lesson was less than an hour. But that's pretty much it for the actual lesson part. And so if anyone has any questions about the lesson itself, I can answer those. If no one has any questions, we can move on to critique. So, seeing how nobody's typing or asking questions, I'll save this and we shall move on to critique. Class B, Lesson 3, critique. Okie doke. Let's see. Because I had to drag this big box upstairs, I forgot to convert the files over, so I'll do that quickly now. Oh no, got the wrong one. I need this one. I even looked at this and I'm like, oh, I don't need gift to MOV right now, but I did.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okie doke. So, do any of you guys want your critiques after class? Or do all three of you want them in class?
I think I want mine after.
Oh. I wanted the other part.
Actually, while we're since everyone else is saying yes, then I'll just yes.
Oh, the good old peer pressure.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm terrible.
It's not terrible. It's only terrible if you never try.
That is true.
Unless it's something like dangerous, like maybe I'll survive if I jump in front of a car. Maybe that's something you don't want to try.
Yeah, that's true too. That does make sense.
Why can't weather decide when it wants to be what? Like 2 weeks ago, burning hot. Last week, super cold. This week, burning hot. And if you hear clicking, that's definitely not me on my phone. That is just the clicking objects. And I'm not on Amino right now while I wait for this to upload. But let's just say you guys have an Amino and you were to go on it. You should definitely check out this one animation someone posted. It's super cool. I really like how they animated the mouth. It's on the front page. Not that I'm on Amino. I am engaged with the class. Also, Kooky, I love your character. It is so cute. I need to make sure it stops at the right point. He looks so much fun to draw. And it reminds me of like characters from 90s cartoons where it's like has that more simple feel but still really fun feel to it. And on to critiques. it gets a little jittery up here, I'd make sure to do an arc for the ears as well, and just for like appendages like that. No need to be stressed. I've already looked through it and it's already pretty nice. The head is really nice in this Maggie. It has a nice arc to it. I'd be careful with consistency with the eyes, because here the eyes get really small, then they get really big again. And also I would push the expression a little bit more. Need a new color that's not red, because red is too threatening. I kind of like orange. And gonna flip this over. There we go. I'm gonna get a darker color. Oh no, I have hiccups. Like if you squint the eye and really bring the eyebrow down, and you really exaggerate the mouth shape going back even further. That would help with emphasizing this, because if it already starts here and then it ends here, it doesn't show that much of a push of like someone sneering or someone getting upset. They would usually have to bring the back parts of their mouth back even further. Also, actually, never mind, you still kept it. I was like, yeah, because here you didn't have that, and then when it was at the end and you had, oh, too far, 5, I was like, wait a second, but then I realized that one came in here. Another thing would be, instead of it coming back here and then turning, if you kept this motion going through the whole thing, and melded those two motions together, that could make it look a little bit more smooth. But it's definitely an improvement from the first version you showed me, where they just turned their head. And also, something that has a muzzle opens its mouth, it usually is rotating from here. So all of this would usually open.
Hey, Alicia, I think I gotta go.
Okay, doke, Joe.
Sorry. Bye.
Bye. But yeah, other than just make an arc with the appendages like the ears, keep consistency in the eye shape, and really push expressions more, bring the corners of the mouth back and up some, and really make that eye squint and emphasize the eyebrows, because when it starts where the eyebrow's already touching the eye, and then it ends with it just touching the eye, but there's just more. If you actually move it down into the eye and really, like, just emphasize the whole angry eye. I'm saying emphasize too much, and I don't know why. But just really push the eyebrows and mouth expressions to really complement the eye. Other than those things, this is really nice. Now I'll just group these up and rename the group. And because Joe had to leave, we'll jump to Kooky. And yours ends here. Move my jug of water out of my way so I can change my leg position. I would have it either, because the timing's a little strange here, when they have their reaction to the turn, it feels like there should be a pause between, here, like, that's probably too long of a pause, but yeah, it feels like they're going up to this post, and then for the turn they're going around, but there's just not enough, like, wait, I meant to hit the opposite direction. Yeah, where it just feels like it's supposed to go up to here to show the shots, and then it does like the up and over. Actually, if it was a couple frames over still. Yeah, like this one. But you have your arcs in there, and those look really nice, and it gives a nice arc to the actual nose movement itself, and that's nice and clean. You have a nice blank in there to break up the movement, but it gets stuck around here a little bit. I would have the head still moving over slightly, not as much as the nose, but still more than just keeping it still. Mainly because it looks like the front of the eye moves over a little bit, so it makes it jitter a little bit when you play it. Especially when you have it going from here to here, and then it just kind of stays still. So that movement is very visible. I like how the arms swing around, but I would have it like this one frame is the one that gets me because it's way out here while the other two are both like right here. If it had more of a, I guess, this sort of arc for it swinging around the body, rather than the arm going the opposite direction, it would have less of a jitter in it. I'm gonna make this a brighter orange color. That's good. That way it will have the motion of it going around the body into like this pose. Also, a CNS curve might also help with that. Also, like Maggie's, make sure you have an arc for things like the ears as well, because they are a little jittery, because even though the head goes like down, the ears don't necessarily go down, so they have like this, then this. And then that breaks up the movement a little bit too much. But the expressions are really clear. And I always love these types of eyelids where they have like the shine mark on it. I want to make a character that has that because I always see that and I'm like, oh, that's so aesthetically pleasing to me. Yeah, but the expressions are expressive and easy to read. It's clear what's happening in the scene, and there's nice character acting moments in it. The overlap in the arms is really nice. But yeah, other than the whole make sure that heads or just anything, if something's moving, make sure that it stays moving and you never have a frame where it just stays in the same place for just a single frame out of the whole movement, because people will notice that, and even if they don't know why it's like that, they'll see something off with it. So just like this frame, and make the curve follow the whole CS movement when it's going around the body. But yeah, other than that, you have nice arcs, you have nice character acting, you have good solid character design. The scene is clear. So yeah, this is a nice assignment too. It's so nice to see people improving. So with that, that would be the end of class. So I'll see everybody next week, and I'll end the recording here.